All right, so today we're gonna make chilaquiles. It's a super easy, simple recipe. It's something that I kind of figured out on my own, which is pretty impressive considering I don't normally figure out recipes on my own, but we love it. It's something that Tyler and I love to have on brunch weekends. The little kids, it's a little spicy for them, but it's something that we enjoy. All right, let's get started. Someone wants to say hi before we make chilaquiles. Can you say hi? Can you say chilaquiles? Hey, that's close enough. You ready to help cook? Okay. All right, so just trying to practice saying chilaquiles with Katie, I realized I might not be saying it right. So if I'm saying it incorrectly, feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know how I should be pronouncing it. I know this is not super authentic, but it's worth a try. Okay, so for this recipe, I use corn tortillas. Sometimes if you have slightly older corn tortillas, you can fry them up for the corn chips, but I'll fry up these corn tortillas. I also use an onion, probably like half an onion, some pork chorizo. I like using it that's already in the packaging like this. It's just easy to squeeze out. I have salsa verde. This is mild, so the chorizo has a little bit of a heat to it already, so I like to use a mild salsa. Eggs, of course, and some cheese. So let's get started with frying the tortillas. Okay, so we're gonna start with frying the corn tortillas. I'm using a cast iron pan. This is something that I can easily stick into the oven after I put all of the ingredients together. So I love using one pan. I don't have to keep cleaning different dishes after cooking everything. And then I'm going to use some ghee. So you've seen me use ghee before. I love using ghee because it has a high burn point. I'm going to pour some in here for us to fry it. And we're going to turn up the heat and start frying our corn. Corn tortillas. Corn tortillas. That's what we're frying. While I'm firing up the rest of the corn tortillas, remember I'm using a cast iron pan, so if you're moving the pan, use a pot holder, otherwise you're gonna burn your hand. And I gotta tell you, I think, see that right there? I think that might have been me. I left it too close to a flame, so be careful about that. And yesterday, I gotta show you, yesterday when I was leaning over, apparently I leaned into one of the pans and burnt myself. So this is risky business here, but have fun with it. That's all you gotta do. Okay, so the corn tortillas just came out of the pan. They're nice and crispy, like here. Oops. I got some crumbs on the ground. But do you hear that crunch when you break into it? It is so good, fresh out of the pan. Like we could just eat this just as it is. In fact, sometimes we eat most of the corn tortillas before I even put together the chilaquiles. And it's so good. It's fresh out of, it's hot, fresh out of the pan. The kids love eating it. And then I have to fry up some more corn tortillas, but totally worth it. But that's something that you can do if you just want to have some chips on hand and fresh out of the pan, delicious. Okay, so I poured out that excess ghee, kept a little bit in there just to grease the pan a little bit. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the onions in the pan and saute them for just a little bit before I put in the chorizo. Okay, so while the onions are sauteing, I'll show you the chorizo that we use. So this is that tube of chorizo that I had. It's not a sausage, so there's no casing. It makes it super easy for me to just squeeze half the tube into the pan. I get a lot of our ingredients from Aldi, partly because being in quarantine, Aldi's one of the shops that are available through Instacart. So we've been mostly just getting all of our ingredients from there. And I know they may not be super authentic. They work just fine being at home in quarantine and not being able to go out to restaurants. Okay, so now we have the chorizo and the onions kind of cooking a little bit. I'm gonna pour in a little bit of the salsa verde just to get kind of saucier. Is that a word? Saucier. Get it saucier, add some additional flavor, and then we'll put everything together and crack the eggs on before we stick in the oven. So watch out. Okay, so now we have our chorizo and our salsa and onions kind of cooked in. And like I said, I like to try to keep this as a one-pan meal as much as possible. So what I usually will do is I will take the chips, break it, and kind of slide it underneath the meat a little bit, the sauce, and just stick it right in there and assemble it all together. You use your spoon to move things around and stick it underneath. So as you saw, I made little divots into the sauce and then cracked a couple eggs into it and then sprinkled some melty cheese on top. I just used whatever cheese I had on hand, mozzarella, but I'm sure you can find other cheeses that you would prefer on your chilaquiles. And then I stuck it in the oven. Normally I will bake it at about 400 degrees and watch for the eggs to be over easy almost. But instead, because it's a hot summer day, I put it on a low broil and we'll have to keep an eye on it so it doesn't get too crispy. Okay, so I just grabbed it out of the oven. Start over. So I just grabbed it out of the oven and you'll see that the eggs are perfectly cooked. They're not super jiggly, but just a little jiggly where you know that yolk is gonna ooze all over those chilaquiles. I probably put the cheese on a little too early and probably should have waited a little bit longer before I put the cheese in, so you saw that it got a little crispy. That's perfectly fine. It's still gonna be delicious. Okay, so now we're gonna add the finishing touches. I love having fresh avocado, so a huge amount of sour cream, cilantro, and lime on it. So we're gonna start putting it all together and then we'll serve it up. Your at-home easy chilaquiles. It is so delicious. I can't wait for you to try it. If you give it a try, make a comment below. Let me know how you like it and let me know how else you doctor it up. Okay, so here is a bonus track. Because I know my kids aren't going to eat the chilaquiles, it's a little spicy for them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make super easy quesadillas for them. So flour tortilla. I use Munster cheese. We love the flavor, and it's also a nice melty cheese that'll go great in the quesadilla. And then some mozzarella. So really easy. I'll fry it up, slice it up, serve it to the kids.
Watermelon quesadilla. I like to eat watermelon quesadilla. I like to eat watermelon quesadilla.